Oh, dude, I need an intro song like what's that one song from Toy Story? You Got a Friend in Me? I don't know, something.
You got a friend in me.
Yeah, some.
Da-da.
Yeah,
Wasn't
you know,
didn't Maximum Drift Gas used to have an intro song? I just forget how it went.
they had something with like Jared Deanda where he did like the intro for them for the most part.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But they
yeah.
had like
But there
some
was no.
background music. Yeah, I just
That's what
wasn't
I'm
sure what it was
saying.
from.
Yeah, they had some type of background music. It makes me want to
I
look
missed
it up now.
I missed that podcast, man. I wish they'd come back,
Like,
but
are they even still around?
uh
I know the
I guess
dudes are around, but
yeah. The last I caught of it was they were talking about they brought it up on the Maximum Driftcast Facebook group
mhm.
page they got, and Corey made a comment of like basically we had um a talk with Sam, so to speak, or I can't remember the damn word he used.
Yeah,
Basically, I had a talk with
yeah,
Sam to try
Sam.
to get him back in,
Mhm.
and I was like, cool, maybe we'll get a new one soon, but nothing ever came of it.
Yeah, it's like the last time they posted something was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's a
So
long time. Wild.
yeah, I think even they, I think Paco did one like by himself randomly one day, and then nothing, nothing, crickets ever since. But we'll see. Maybe they'll make a comeback someday.
Or maybe you will be the next Maximum Drift Gas, and you will be
Negative.
10 times better than
Mm,
Maximum Drift Gas.
nope. Do not want to compete with anybody. I just want to. There's plenty to go around for all of us.
I'm not saying compete. I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
saying,
yeah.
like, what if it got like bigger than Maximum Drift Gas, and that
Oh,
it's
that'd be
like
great.
you were never in like a competition.
Yeah, 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 that would be great. No, that obviously that would be awesome. Because I don't want to do like the YouTube thing, like a lot of people
Mhm.
do. I mean, you did it, and then you stopped doing it for, various reasons,
Because it's
which we can get
work.
into a little bit. Yeah, it's a
It's
lot.
it's work. Okay, you want to touch on that subject right now?
Yeah, go right in.
Okay, we'll touch on the subject now. This is how do I say it? This is my experience with like YouTube and stuff like that. So this is my opinion. These are my views. Whether you agree with them or you don't, hopefully I entertain you. Hopefully I make you laugh, and hopefully I help you guys in some way, shape, or form. So when you do something like for YouTube, like and you're building a car on YouTube, right? Like you're building that car, but you're also thinking about how can I like while you're shooting, you're how
Mm,
can I piece this together? How can I make this all make sense? How can I bring in sponsors? How can I do this and do that? And you
yeah,
basically theoretically turn a 4 hour task into a 10-hour task. And then it doesn't stop there. It stops with like, okay, now you got all the footage, you just got done shooting and Sunday rolls around and you're like, okay, I got some extra time at my house. I can start editing. Now you spend another 4 to 8 hours, depending on if you're a perfectionist or not, or how OCD you are. Uh, it's like I spent all these countless amounts of hours
hmm
to make say X amount of dollars. Now in my channel, I didn't make anything crazy. I probably made like I don't know $40 a month like in YouTube. Like it's really not much. So I sat down with myself and I said, self, how like can I justify spending this much time and only making this amount? Like sure the overall goal is to maybe have like LZ numbers and putting in numbers, whoever you want to compare it to. But to get to that point, it's gonna take time. I mean, it may take a year, it may take 7 years, but it's like at the end of the day, the bills don't stop. And then the
yeah,
dreams, as far as like competition and say doing hot pit and all these things, that doesn't stop, right? So instead of like prioritizing my income on like just YouTube, it was like I'm gonna go hustle. Like I'm gonna go, hustle jobs, whether it be for working on cars and doing that, banging them out and getting the money in. It's not really as like, or even just construction jobs and stuff like that. It's not as glorious, but at the same time, I wanted to go build a car, and realistically I needed to get my car done in 8 months. And if I was to
Yeah.
film it, I don't, and that's the other thing. Like for me, I don't have a film team behind me. Like when I worked at Hoonigan, I didn't have to worry about editing, producing, direct, none of that. I just built and then I just told the story on camera. Same thing when I worked for RTM, for Detroit Muscle. Same deal. I didn't worry about any of that. The only thing I worried about is how I'm going to say it and whatever, how we can incorporate brands. But when you're doing it on your own, you're legit doing everything on your own. And if you can stick it out through the hard times and you got a bunch of money in the bank, or you have some type of remote job where you have just, or how do I say it, passive income, and you got all
Yeah.
the time in the world, then dude, have at it. Or if you got rich parents, have at it. But
Yeah.
when you still gotta pay for, I now expanded my shop, so now I have I started with 1,500 square feet, now I have 3,000 square foot shop, so I doubled my rent. And then all my other bills, I'm like, dude, I don't have a bunch of money to invest into YouTube and hopefully like make that a living, unless,
Sustainable. Yeah.
yeah, how do you make that like sustainable, is like, it's really really difficult. But then the other thing that, like, I never really cared about the fame at all, like ever.
Mhm.
Like even when I was working at Hoonigan, when I was working at Detroit Muscle, or even I know a lot of people chase like the YouTube fame and stuff like that, and that's cool, dude. Like if you're into the fame, that's great. And me personally, it's cool when people recognize me and stuff like that if they do. But me personally, it's like I've never really chased that fame game. And honestly, like I would never want to be like a Tom Cruise or like a Nicolas Cage like type of fame, because I could never go anywhere and have privacy.
Yeah.
Like
I feel you on that.
that's
That's
another thing. Even
yeah.
just being like Adam LZ, like dude, there's times when I'm at Hot Pit and I like to just walk away, go to my motorhome, and just like focus on like the driving and focus on other things, and I don't like to be uh
Or take a
this.
fucking nap.
Yeah, exactly, thank you.
Yeah.
Like you watched me go into my motorhome and I took a nap. I
Exactly.
just needed to go get away, and I like that sense of privacy, to where it's kind of like it's not, you don't have, when I watch like Adam LZ and all these other dudes, like dude, when they go back to the pits, they bring their car back in, it's just the crowd just flocks, right? And it's kind of
Yeah.
like,
That's
man,
wild.
dude, do these dudes get like any privacy? Like that's insane, but that's a little gist of my YouTube thing. I hope that helps somebody, but that's also my thing. Like I'll fire up YouTube again. I'll figure out a better way to, film builds and make it to where I'm not really concentrating mostly on quality, or even though I do want to keep it quality, but I want to figure out a way to structure it to where it's easy to film a build and I don't have to film every single portion, and then it takes me little to no time to like edit it because I'm doing everything myself. There's a way to do it. There really really is. There's literally a way to do it. It's just I have to sit down and really think about it. But
Oh,
my
to like
time
keep it
gets,
simple and structured, to like know when to
yeah.
hit record when you're about to do something.
Like for example, not everybody wants to see you cut a tube on a chop saw.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
sorry. Or not everybody wants to see you bolt a tire up to a wheel. Or it's like, or the other thing that I see in YouTube lately, it's like they, a lot of these big YouTubers, it's funny. They announce like, oh, we're gonna build this, we're gonna do it with this brand, this brand, this brand, with this turbo, blah 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 blah. It's gonna be awesome. And then they film like them cutting up the car, and then like months later, all of a sudden it's like, oh hey, the car's done, but then they filmed like a bunch of like other stuff, and it's kind of like, oh, that makes sense. Like they're doing like a recap constantly. Or I see other YouTubers, they like, instead of like doing every single process, like every tube that's notched or every weld that's welded, they don't film a bunch of it. They actually just get off the camera like, hey, I'm gonna go weld this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, whatever, blah blah blah, and then cut. And then it's instantly back to camera like, oh, so I got this done, I got that done, come check it out. It's just constantly in a recap format, like a mini recap. And I think that's the
Yeah.
only way that you can film builds. if you don't have like a full blown film crew behind you.
You know what though? But that would make sense because do you remember like watching? Like I don't know if you did, but when I was a kid, I always watched like the Discovery Channel when they would like Extreme 4x4 or
Monster Garage.
Monster Garage. I can't remember the other one. It's I can't remember his damn name, but his show is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but the way they structured it is they would just show you bits and pieces, and then at the end of it, they would kind of like they're like, "Oh, the car's running now." You're like 4 episodes in of 20-minute episodes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that makes sense for them to like carry on that same style of kind of show, if it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, I'm gonna showcase these partners that we're working with, and then I'm just gonna put this thing together because I don't have time to, do a full build on my YouTube, or maybe it's
Yeah.
not beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, because not everybody wants to see every nut and bolt going into that car. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Like, because I caught myself, being an automotive influencer and YouTube, where it's like I had to shoot. I felt like I needed to cover everything. I needed to cover every little nut and bolt, and then later I end up with a bunch of footage, and then I'm like, I don't need that shot. I don't need that shot. And then now I have this. This should be 10 minutes, but if I was to put every single shot in there, that became 30 minutes. But then
Yeah,
you have to think about like, oh, okay, think about how much time you spent setting up the camera for each and every single one of those little shots. Like I said, you just turned a 4-hour task into a 10-hour day.
yeah.
Like if you watch some of my uh, like my Instagram reels that I was
Mhm.
doing when I was building the E92, I was experimenting with kind of a new format of I would just shoot something really quick, keep it super super raw, and I would do it through my phone. I wouldn't do it through the Instagram app. I'd save all the videos, and then later, when I'm at night, like I'm at home, I'm bored, like I just slap a couple, clips together, and I'm like, wow, this literally streamlined everything. Like, but I still think YouTube is a necessary evil. So that's
Absolutely.
where it's like, but then that's the thing. Now, if you're shooting the same content for YouTube that you're doing like reels, now it's like, well, let's say someone saw it on your reel. Are they gonna watch it? Are they gonna take the time to watch it on your YouTube? Like, or did they saw it on YouTube and they see it on your reel? Oh, well, I already saw that. So
Yeah, they're
how?
just gonna flash right past it.
Yeah, like how? Like there's certain social media platforms that it's like you only do this with. Like if you want to dance like an idiot in front of your car, do it on TikTok. Don't do it on YouTube. Don't do it on Instagram. Like
Yeah,
if you want
exactly.
to do a lot of branding stuff and you want to show like kind of more, I would maybe guess kind of more professional, super cool stuff. And this is my opinion, professional, super cool stuff for like Instagram. And then you want to show maybe like behind the scenes stuff on YouTube.
That makes
I don't
sense.
know.
That's a
I
solid
mean,
plan.
or it even could be
As
vice versa. It could be
as
vice
I
versa where
yeah,
it's like where you're showing, professional stuff purely for YouTube and you're
mhm.
making it more cinematic, but then your Instagram is your more like intimate behind the scenes thing. I hate how all this shit is so complicated, to be honest,
It is.
Joe.
It is.
It's like
I mean,
crippling. It's so crippling.
but also be mindful too. Like those who put in the work do get um they do get that pay back, so to speak. Poor
Yeah.
choice of words.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, but and then sometimes people just get lucky. Like they just have a hit that just goes viral, and then all of a sudden they go from 1,500 followers to 30,000 overnight.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know what I
there
mean?
was a
It could be
dude.
could be a great accident or something like that they got into, whatever the case.
Yeah, there was a dude that I followed. I remember I started following him on Instagram when he had like 3,000 followers. And he built this gnarly, I forget what his Instagram name is, but he built this like tube chassis 8.6, right?
Hmm.
It's black. It's like on air ride cantilevers. Like it's sick. Like the car is sick. LS swap 8-to-1 collector. It's
The
just a car show car.
GT86, the
Yeah,
GT86.
it's a
I
yeah, or it's like an FRS or something like that.
Okay, that's what yep. I know exactly what
Yeah,
car you're talking about.
Yeah, so I remember started following him when he had like 3,000 followers, and his format, it was super simple. All it was the footage that he would shoot was like gnarly high quality, like super crisp, and it was always super basic shots, and it was always over, whatever the latest trending
Sound
rap
is or
song
something.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound or whatever. And next thing I know, I look back at this dude like a month later. Now he has 15,000 followers. And then another
Yep.
month goes by. Dude has 50,000 followers. Then like, I don't know, 7, 8 months later, I look back at the dude and he's got like 100K followers. He probably has like 300. But
Yeah.
it's like that format, it was just so stupidly simple that it's like that dude spent little to no production time at all. He just did it purely off of his phone and he just put it to whatever. But I'm not going to take away the build was sick. The build was sick. His shop looked very clean. The car
Mm.
always looked clean as he was working on it, like the background and everything. So it's kind of like it's really the full package. In the lighting of wherever the lighting was in his shop, it was always super white. So I think it's a lot of like those little details and stuff like that. Like even when I was working at Detroit Muscle, everything in the background had to be a certain color and a certain look and everything. It really, that's the other thing. Like if you're going to do stuff out of your garage, like cool, you can do it out of your garage, but like why not take maybe a couple of weeks and make your garage look dope? Repaint the walls white, put in LED lights, and put away all the freaking tools and organize everything, because people like to see that shit too. Because if they see like you have an organized, clean ass garage, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this dude actually knows what the hell he's doing because he makes his garage look, freaking sick.
Yeah.
Because I remember looking, there was this dude, his name was Matt Walrath, literally the best fabricator. I still till this day I think is the best uh, motorsports fabricator in the world is Matt Walrath, and he builds trophy trucks in Oak Hills, like right up here in the high desert of Southern California. And he does it out of his garage, but his garage looks like, I'm not kidding you, it looks like better than like Robbie Gordon Motorsports. It looks like a NASCAR shop inside,
Oh,
dude.
really?
Like he's
Nice.
got like pneumatic air retracting from his ceiling, like in his whole garage is like
Oh,
all
he's
fully
fancy,
drywalled.
huh?
Dude,
Uh-huh.
he's got like air nozzle, and then he custom makes his own cabinets to where he puts all his different tooling bits and everything. It's
Mm.
nuts, bro. Like nuts. Like I'm not kidding you. Like you would never think it's a garage. You would just think it's a small portion of like Mercedes Petronas where they build F1 cars. Like I'm not kidding. It's sick. But it's in a garage.
Your background kind of comes from trophy cars, or trophy trucks, trophy cars. What an asshole! From trophy trucks, doesn't it? Like, don't you have a strong background with like off road and stuff?
I have a very strong background. That's
Is that
actually where I kind of learned how to fab, was working out of different
that's yeah, that's what I
off-road
meant.
fab shops and stuff.
Uh huh.
Yeah. So I was 16 years old. Long story short, I was 16. Was in high school. Wanted to have a job like out of high school. So from like 4 to 8 o'clock, I just wanted to have a job. Um, Motorsports always piqued my interest, and then I always would pass by on my way home from school this off-road shop, and I knew there was like pre-runners outside and everything. So one day I was
Mm.
like, you know what, I'm gonna go walk up and just see if they need a hand. I could wrench, and I could kind of weld. Couldn't really fabricate, but I could kind of stick things together. So I just walked in
Yeah.
there like, hey guys, I can kind of wrench, I can work on stuff, I can kind of weld, but I just need a job. And I didn't walk in there like, oh, I know everything. It was just like, hey, humbly, I just need a job.
Yeah.
Well, then my boss at the time, his name was Scott. Scott said, "All right, cool. Like, how about this? Just come back tomorrow." Like, oh, like you don't want me to start now? He's like, "Nah, just come back tomorrow. I'll come back wearing some, crappy clothes or whatever." Okay, cool. I showed up the next day, and the first assignment was go clean the bathroom. Okay, no problem. Clean the bathroom. After I cleaned the bathroom, then it was clean the race truck, and then it was always cleaning shit for like a solid 3 months of just cleaning the bathroom, cleaning the race truck, like not wrenching on things, not fabricating on things. And that can not only conditioned me to like put up with crap, because building stuff is very difficult and it
Mm.
tests your patience,
It
but
absolutely
also
does.
it proved to him, it proved to Scott, hey, I'm willing to put up with the shit. I'm willing to get my hands dirty. I'm willing to, it's showing that I want it bad enough.
Yeah.
And then after those 3 months, then I started wrenching on stuff, became like one of the head assembly guys, and was always assembling UTV cages, and working on the race trucks and stuff like that on the assembly side of things. But while I was there, I was always bugging the head fabricator, which was Mike Tuba. Hey, Mike, like, what you got going on here? What you got going on here? Like, oh, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? And then next thing I know, years later, that's when I started working with the head fabricator and helping him fab stuff on trucks. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then after that, worked at a different off-road shop, worked at another different off-road shop, and then it just snowballed into this, oh, now I got my own shop, now I'm going to do my own fab, and I'm just going to continue to learn. And I think the key for me was just always remaining a student and not thinking that I'm the best fabricator in the world, because there's always going to be another fabricator or car builder or whatever that can teach you something that you may never know. So it's like, I was always, remain, and I'm still a student till this day. Do I have it all figured out? No, but I'm not afraid to, push the boundaries, or, hey, let's try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then back to the drawing board,
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, especially when it comes to like building cars, you always run into a problem. Every car I've built, I've ran into like a new problem that I haven't ran into before.
That's
whatever
just
the case may
normal. That's
Yeah.
normal. There's no
And
such thing as a
always
perfect build.
And it's always with the fucking parts that are bolt-on.
Right.
Yeah, the ones that bust my knuckles every single time.
Yeah. I noticed my biggest common issues, thank God they're not electrical. Electrical, I got it pretty figured out somewhat, but like, it's always, I put the car together and then we go drive it, and then I come to find out, oh, well, the car's getting too hot. Well, why is it getting too hot? Oh, I used too big a radiator tubing. Or I shouldn't have used a mechanical GM water pump, a truck GM water pump with my Mazir 55-gallon electric water pump with 1.5-inch hose, and then running a single pass radiator. So it's like, I'm always going back to the drawing board. Okay, now I got to eliminate the mechanical water pump, and then I got to triple pass this radiator, or I need to make these coolant lines smaller so it creates more fluid velocity. Like, that's always my crap, dude.
Yeah, it's when I finally did do the rear radiator thing, I did like look into it heavily, luckily. So I just read what everybody else was using, and I was like, I'm gonna get this because I don't want no problems.